Nurses rarely ever go on strike, and given the importance of their work, they rightly view strike action as a last resort. But at present, the situation is so dire that 95% of INMO nurses balloted have chosen strike action. This is their second strike ever in 100 years, and this should be a wake-up call for this government. Nurses and midwives are being forced to strike in an attempt to ensure that patients in our health service are safe. The recruitment and retention crisis continues, and this is partly because of terrible working conditions and partly because the government refuses to deal with the pay issue. Nurses emigrate to countries with functioning health services to escape the HSE, and it is very difficult to bring them back because conditions aren't improving here. The working conditions for nurses are horrendous, and they are getting worse. And you will speak to nurses who have emigrated, and they said that since they've emigrated, they've rekindled their graw for their nursing profession because they're working in a better working environment with better conditions, better pay and better resources to deal with patient care. But despite a population increase of 500,000 in the past 10 years, we have 6% fewer staff nurses. Services are understaffed and underfunded. Nurses work longer hours here than most other countries. Their work can sometimes be dangerous, and it is often very difficult, and they are underpaid. The INMO are asking for the pay of nurses and midwives to increase in line with therapeutic grades in the HSE. The government has rejected this, saying that they can't afford it. We all know that this is a nonsense. We have plenty of money in this state if the government would only spend it wisely. Instead of spending millions a year subsidising private landlords, we could build social housing. It's the same here. Instead of spending 1.2 million a week on agency staff to make up for the shortage of staff nurses, they could just pay nurses properly. If Minister Donoghue, in his last budget, could afford to hand out tax breaks for landlords and banks and to increase TD's pay, then he can afford to pay nurses fairly. This government clearly doesn't value the vital work that nurses do. The government has shown nothing but disrespect and disdain for nurses since this dispute began. And it's shameful that you've let the situation escalate like this. And the nurses and midwives have the support of Sinn Féin, and equally importantly, they have the support of the people. And you'd need to get a grip on that, Minister, because everybody that you meet in the street are backing the nurses. So it's high time that you, the Minister for Health, and your government gave the nurses and midwives the respect that they deserve.